Let's say I want to be in the lobster business. Mr. Wonderful's Lobster, okay? Why don't I just go get a couple of guys with flip-flops on, call up somebody in Maine saying, I've got money, you've got lobsters, and do this whole thing myself. Why are you worth $1.1 million?
All right, so everyone knows Shark Tank. You've heard of Shark Tank. Some of you have heard of Cousins Maine Lobster, and I have an interesting story to tell. Let's first check out their whole pitch, what it is that they were trying to get from the sharks, because there's some interesting dialogue here and some lessons to learn, and then I'll tell you the story, and we'll actually dive into their current numbers. We'll hear their update and hear all the marketing of what they put around it. Then I've pulled up their what's called their franchise disclosure documents, where we can actually see how much money all of their franchise owners are actually making. I think you're going to be surprised.
Hi, Sharks. My name is Sabin Lomack.
And I am his younger cousin, Jim Salikas. And together, we are Cousins Maine Lobster.
Sharks, we're here seeking $55,000 in exchange for 5% of our company.
Sharks, at Cousins Maine Lobster, we bring the Maine lobster experience to Southern California, and we do it via our amazing gourmet lobster shack on wheels. We get our lobsters from shore to door in less than 24 hours.
Here's the thing. Right now, we need to add another truck or two because, frankly, we can't keep up with our own demand.
We would love for one of you to join our family business and become the third cousin.
$55,000 for 5%. Basically, you want to buy another truck with my $55,000. You're valuing this business at over $1 million.
Here's the crazy part. I mean, look, for any entrepreneur knows that you don't need to come on Shark Tank for 55 grand. They're asking for such a small amount of money. It's easy to get just a vehicle loan, equipment loan to buy the truck. So they're really coming in looking for the partnership and the exposure. They could get the 55 grand pretty easily.
The business,
yeah,
Kevin.
I know the business.
So what are you worried about the valuation?
They may have 10 trucks. So how many trucks do you have?
Right now, we have one truck.
Ooh.
$150,000 of sales. We've been open 2 months.
2 months?
With one truck.
Let's say I want to be in the lobster business. Mr. Wonderful's Lobster, okay? Why don't I just go get a couple of guys with flip-flops on, call up somebody in Maine saying, I've got money, you've got lobsters, and do this whole thing myself. Why are you worth $1.1 million?
You can start your own truck and you can hire your own staff, but what you can't do is what you just said and call up on the phone to Maine. It's not like that.
So you're the only guys, because you've only been in business 2 months, these guys only deal with you now because they haven't been in business the last 50 years.
No, of course. They have.
You are very greedy crustaceans, both of you.
You haven't gone into the economics per truck. Right. You haven't talked about seasonality. You haven't talked about any other cost issues that might come along.
Right, so we're locked into our pricing, and typically prices will rise. With our connections and what we have with our supplier, we're locked in what we're paying right now, we're going to be paying in the winter.
So what are you paying right now on what's the average?
The traditional lobster roll we price at $13.
What's your cost on that?
$5.85.
Guys, I asked...
That is not good margins for food. Typically in the food business, and again, I know this because I have owned food businesses and franchises, you want to be at about a 25 to 30% cost of goods or food cost. Yeah, so about 45% is their cost of food. It's hard to make money. I mean, maybe on a food truck, and what I'm going to share with you later on in the video, in terms of some numbers and some things that happen with this business, you're going to see why that's not ideal. But typically you'd want to see what's 25% of 13. You'd want it to be somewhere $3 and change is the most ideal if you're selling it for 13 something.
Guys, I asked you the question about the economics of the truck. So please, somebody who might invest, tell me what the economics are per truck.
Okay, so we'll start with how much is a purchase? You buy it for roughly, ours was $65,000.
Okay.
Monthly overhead with our employees, $20,000.
Per truck?
Per truck.
Okay.
A month.
A month.
Okay, so $20K per month per truck. If you have more than one truck, does it get amortized across the truck?
The overhead would actually go down a little because we've hired a general manager.
You're not the general manager?
Well, there's a reason why that is because when we got into this business, we knew a lot about lobster. We knew a lot about the service industry. We didn't know a lot about the trucking business.
These guys are talking all kinds of nonsense. You know what? Because you thought it was more important to talk about all the nonsense and couldn't see through the nonsense.
That's not fair, Mark.
I'm out.
I like the idea.
Yes.
And I know this is very
Yes.
hot and people are loving this. Help me get to the $1.1 million valuation. It's so high.
It's so ridiculous, yeah.
It's outrageous what you're asking for. I can't take it anymore. For the sake of lobsters that are still alive, I'm out.
Give me your best offer.
I would feel really comfortable right around the 7 to 8%.
You know what? You're a very good actor. You said that with a straight face.
So, I'm out.
So I'll give you the $55,000, but I want 25%.
Okay.
It's a $220,000 valuation as opposed to $1 million, by the way. So they're like, eh.
Can we hear Barbara's?
Well, I'm going to offer you your $55,000. Right. But for that amount of money, I would like to have 17% of your business.
17.
And you know why? Because 17 is my lucky number.
Our last question. Strategies, thoughts that you guys might
So that's a $323,000 valuation.
have.
The best thing I could do for you, which this guy cannot do, is I am a genius marketer.
There's a reason I'm up here. I don't need to prove what I can do
But they
to
asked you.
You want to go in and change their business? You
Oh, I
need a
help
job,
them.
Barbara?
No.
Go ahead.
I
My
help
offer's
every
off the table.
entrepreneur in
You're
Denver.
left with Barbara. I have a job.
Robert, you're out?
I'm out.
Barbara, would you consider 12%?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to meet you halfway. $55,000 for 15%. Halfway between the 12 and the 17.
Barbara, welcome to the family.
Thank you.
Let's see how they're doing now.
So that turned out to be a $367,000 valuation, which is not that high. I mean, the business being worth $367,000. At the end of the day, they had launched a business 2 months ago. But this is where things get really interesting. And hearing the updates, there's another update video, and then I'm going to break down the numbers for you. And I'm going to reveal a couple things that I think are going to be really interesting and surprising.
It's amazing what can happen in 6 years. When we started, we had 1 food truck in Los Angeles. Since then, we've grown into 29 food trucks, 21 different franchisees, 10 restaurants, and guess what? We're international in Taiwan. It's crazy.
And today is the grand opening of our 10th franchise right here in New York City.
Enjoy. It's hot. Be careful.
Anytime I can get a free lunch from Barbara, I'm there.
When we pitched on Shark Tank in 2012, we only had $150,000 in sales.
Now, 6 years later, we've
I mean, this is working out great for them. I mean, you know, to give up 15% of your business and have multiple sharks from the Shark Tank there in New York at a grand opening of a location, that's pretty helpful. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
We've done over $50 million in sales. Our journey with Shark Tank has been an absolute dream come true. The power of this show, the ability to help entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, to help their families. There's no show that has ever done anything of this magnitude, and I don't believe there's ever a show that will.
All right, so let's take a look at the other update video, which was 9 years ago. This update video was 3 years ago. Let's take a look at this real quick.
In season 4, cousins Jim Salikas and
Only a
Sabin
minute.
Lomack made a
About a
deal
minute.
with Barbara Corcoran for their food truck business, Cousins Maine Lobster.
Barbara, welcome to the family.
Let's see how they're doing now.
We are back home in Portland, Maine, where Cousins Maine Lobster all started.
Welcome to Maine! Today, we've invited 11 of our franchisees from around the country to come find out what Maine's all about and where we get our lobster from. And we've even brought in a special surprise. Barbara!
I'm so excited to be in Maine today. I get to meet all of my new cousins. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
We're headed out to sea with some of our lobstermen, and we are going to finish the day at Jim's parents' house doing what we do, eating lobster. When we got into the business, we could never have imagined franchising our food trucks, but it was Barb's idea, and it was her best idea yet.
Wow, look at that guy!
Each of our franchisees invest between $200,000 and $350,000 to start a franchise in their city. In exchange, they get a Cousins Maine Lobster truck, our branding, and our daily operational support. As a franchisor, we collect an ongoing 8% royalty, and they have to buy our delicious Maine lobster directly from us. As the brand continues to grow, everyone benefits.
To my new cousins, welcome to the family.
Coming out to Maine has been a truly incredible experience. Now I understand the process from harvesting the lobster to delivering point to my customers on the truck.
We started with one truck in Houston. It's been so successful. Now we're on our third truck. It's amazing.
We started with one food truck. We now have 18 throughout the country. Our total sales are $15 million. It's been 3 years, and what we've done with the help of Shark Tank and Barb has been unbelievable. What the next 3 years has in store, who knows, but we're ready for it.
Welcome to Maine!
All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of this and actually break down the numbers. So, when someone tells you, hey, I got good news and I got bad news, what do you usually like to hear first? Usually like to hear the bad news? I think most people I know ask for the bad news first. So let's talk about the bad news. All right, this is what's called a franchise disclosure document. Every single franchise in America has to complete a franchise disclosure document. It is a standardized legal document that, again, all franchisors have to complete. And they have to put things like their startup cost, how much money their franchisees are making, if they're going to disclose that, and a bunch of other things. So, number one, startup cost. This is for a brick and mortar. So what they decided to do is they started to shift from just a pure food truck play to, hey, let's open brick and mortar locations. As you saw in that one update video where they were opening a storefront in New York. It just so happens that where my second franchise location was in Florida, we were in the same shopping center as guess what? A Cousins Maine Lobster. And I would go in and I was friendly with the franchisees there, and they would come into my store and they were friendly, and we would buy their products, they would buy our products, right? And so I got some interesting behind the scenes information on this. Let's talk about the startup cost first. $267,000 and $969,000 to get up and open. That's pretty hefty on the top end of that. And if you watch any of my videos and content, you know that I talk about for retail-based locations, you need a 2-to-1 sales to investment ratio, meaning you want average sales to be double that of the average startup cost. So if we were just to go with the median, which is the number in the middle, that would be somewhere 1.2. The average cost, the median cost would be somewhere around $600,000 to get a location up and open. All right, so item 19, where they can list how much money their franchisees are making. You can see that they have 3 locations as of December 31st, 2024, storefront locations. One of them did $1.4 million in total gross sales. The other 2 did around $600,000. So on those startup costs, if the median sales are about $600,000, we would want to see average sales double that, $1.2 million. So, okay, maybe for this store, that the numbers make sense. For the other locations, these are not good numbers. These are terrible numbers for what the potential startup cost is. And if their cost of goods or their food cost is still as high as it was, there's no chance these people are making money to the bottom line. And then if we look down at something else, there's something a little bit more disturbing as we get into it. Franchisors have to disclose closures. And if there were a change, like are there locations closing down? And you can see that in 2023, they had 7 locations. And at the end of 2023, they had 5. They closed 2. 2024, they had 5 locations. At the end of the year, they had 4. They closed 1. They closed basically half of their locations in 2 years, storefront locations. And so they have a separate FDD, franchise disclosure document, for their storefronts. For their food trucks. So I do want to show you that because those numbers are even more interesting. But guess what? The location that was in the area where my store was, it closed down. They got into a big disagreement with the franchisor because they wanted them to be open certain hours a day as required. Just like, if you go to a McDonald's requires McDonald's franchisees to be open certain hours. Pretty standard with franchises. But the franchisees didn't want to based on the area. It would be slow at certain times of the day, and they'd have to pay for labor that they didn't want to pay for because it wasn't making sense. If you have to be open until 9 o'clock, and from 6 to 9 p.m. you get 2 customers. and you average sales of, let's say, $50 an hour, and you have 2 staff there where for that hour you're having to pay them $50, you're breaking even, which essentially means you're losing money because you're not making any margin there. So anyways, they wind up closing down. Now, let's look at their FDD for their food trucks, because that tells an interesting story. All right, so let's take a look at their FDD for their food truck locations, which tell a completely different story. So, number one, the investment is a heck of a lot lower, between $193,000 to $650,000. So I do want to see why it takes so almost $650,000 for a food truck. And if we look in what's called their item 7, the estimated initial investment, which is actual costs that past franchisees have spent to get their trucks open, you can see that it ranges from $225,000 to $290,000 food truck and build out. So I'd really like to know why a food truck would cost up to $290,000. Keep in mind, it does include $50,000 to $81,000 of just emergency funds that they recommend as part of the startup. But you can see the lower investment represents the estimated initial investment in the purchase or finance of a food truck and build out of a brand new 20-foot Ford F59 step van Freightliner or similar, constructed to our specifications, and da-da-da-da-da-da. The higher investment level is for the outright purchase of a new 20-foot F59 step van Freightliner built out the same specifications. Got it. Okay. So basically, the lower end is you're financing the truck. And so they're not factoring in the total cost of the truck, right? So, and the higher end is the person is just paying for the truck outright. Okay. Makes sense. And which is a more transparent way of showing it. Now, curious to know about their sales. Is it as bad as their storefront locations? All right, so their item 19, we can see here, food trucks owned by franchisees for a full 12 months. Same time period. And you can see, guys, that 1.2, 1.4 million, 1.1, 1 million, 2.1, 820,000, 2.3 million. So they've got 43 locations that are, it looks like about 80% of them, 80 to 90% are doing over $1 million in sales. So what this shows, and then we see the average sales here. So franchise units, 43, average sales, 1.3 million. The lowest doing 765, the highest doing 2,350,000. So it's very interesting. And if we look at the closures, you can see that there aren't any. They've been growing. They had 36 locations and 44. They opened 8 in 2022, 10 in 2023, 19 in 2024. So clearly, the issue of what happened here was deviating from their core model and what works for them. They are good at helping to make food trucks successful. Storefront locations, not the case. So based on their sales, like on the food trucks, I mean, those are pretty decent sales based on the startup cost. I just wouldn't go opening a storefront location. So if you got value out of this video, let me know. If you want to see other videos of me breaking down and reacting to different businesses, you can click right here. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like it, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.